Hello, everyone. Coach Rob here, and only Coach Rob this time. I do have a full episode planned for you, but I did want to give you guys the little show format update at the top. We're going to be moving to an every other week format with Rachel. So we had her last week. We'll have her again next week. This week and on all the weeks in between, it'll be just me, a Robisode. I'm going to try and use my weeks to focus more on the fitness style content, the advice, the updates, what have you, whatever, and maybe have a few other guests on. For the weeks that Rachel is here, we're going to, like we discussed in the last episode, we're going to try and focus more on just the experience of basically having ADHD and being a parent at the same time. That also has been getting a lot of traction with you guys. And Rachel just needs to have a week in between. She says, I'm afraid we're gonna run out of content ideas. Well, don't worry, guys. I always have shit to talk about. And on that note, this week, today, recording on the morning of Wednesday, January the 22nd of 2025, some weird stuff has been happening in the past week or so, this whole month, really. The inauguration was 2 days ago on Monday, and it's been, a capital S strange since then. And I got pretty fired up about a lot of things. And normally, we try and record on Tuesdays, but I spent all day yesterday writing this script and making the notes. And it was a little bit jumbled, and it took me all day to write, so I didn't have the chance to record. So I'm going to do it now. This week's episode: Fitness as an Act of Rebellion. We'll get into more details on that after the jump. Welcome to the RF Fitness Podcast, brought to you by rffitness.net, your source for online coaching built for and by busy grown-ups just like you who are on the quest for health and strength in everyday life. I am your host, Rob Finlayson, certified older brother, fitness coach, and today, ranter. Big ranter with no banter because my co-host is not here. I want to talk about fitness as an act of rebellion, why the system wants you sick, in pain, and unhappy, and how you can fight back with fitness. Chapter 1. I'd like to start by defining some terms. I don't want to just jump in and launch a bunch of information to you guys without being explicit about what we're talking about. So, the system, capital T, capital S, the system is the societal model we have not necessarily agreed to living in, but must engage with in order to survive. It's an intentionally designed layers and layers of cultural and economic norms we are forced to accept on pain of death and disenfranchisement, upheld by self perpetuating engines of consumption, such as social and commercial media, the military industrial complex, and the healthcare, education, and agricultural industries. But you guys thought this is going to be a bunch of memes and in jokes, huh? But it's all the same thing. It's all just capitalism, late stage capitalism at this point. I'd also like to discuss or to define fitness, at least for this episode, how we're talking about it. Fitness is a function of good health. It is seen as the pursuit of and state of having multifaceted strength and resilience with physical, psychosocial, and emotional spiritual components. For instance, in physical, this probably seems like the most obvious. Can you run a mile? Do a push up and a pull up? How are your sleeping and eating habits? Do you have diseases or injuries, etc.? This is the stuff that relates to your body and how it operates. Psychosocial fitness. Are you mentally resilient to hardship? What is your identified problem solving style? What are your personal values and are they reflected in your close knit social group? And how many strong, medium, and weak social bonds do you have, etc.? And the emotional spiritual fitness, are you fulfilled in life? Do you have purpose? Do you feel you're able to pursue that purpose? Are you emotionally resilient to hardship, rejection, and failure? Can you identify, process, and move on from your own feelings, past and present? And lastly, rebellion, an act of rebellion, the events and actions that can add up to revolution. A behavior or a series of behaviors which actively rejects norms and seeks to disrupt the status quo. I would say a revolution is something that replaces the status quo. This is not quite that. Fitness is powerful, but I don't think, you know, I don't think increasing your VO2 max is going to replace capitalism. If it could, boy howdy, I'd be number one on that line. Chapter 2: How the system benefits off of your suffering and misery. Social media's monetization of attention is well known by keeping you locked in a FOMO spiral, that's fear of missing out spiral. They keep your eyes in front of ads which sell you answers to engineered problems. I saw a really good YouTube video kind of describing this in a very sideways sort of way. I think the video was called like "Why Dark Fantasy is Popular Right Now." I clicked on it thinking it was going to be about literary themes or why people play Dark Souls these days, but it was actually about kind of social media addiction. I'll see if I can link it into the show description here so you guys can watch it. It was weird but good. Anyways, by keeping you locked in a FOMO spiral, they keep your eyes in front of ads which sell you answers to engineered problems. I have talked about this before. This makes social media both the source and the solution, which gives those apps and the men who run them power over you if you let them. Now, to be fair, all advertising kind of works the same way, but it's really noticeably harmful and destructive to our health. All versions of the health I just described on social media is where this is most obvious. Um, Moving on, the American healthcare industry is designed to value shareholder profits over the well-being of the people they supposedly serve. This has become increasingly obvious. I mean, hashtag free Luigi. We all know about this thing. If you live in America, if you have had an experience with healthcare, you know what I'm talking about. And again, there are other industries that operate on the same value system, but it's just especially egregious coming from this institution that we are forced to rely on for often life-saving care. If you can't get your medication that makes your blood work without having to not be able to like afford food for your kid, like is something isn't working here. When you're constantly sick, almost sick, worried about getting sick or just past being sick, they make money off of your suffering. They want you sick enough to have to pay and only just alive enough to be able to pay it. There's actually a very interesting intersection here between social media and the healthcare industry in this weird new beast that we call the wellness industry. It has the same predatory nature, but it's filled with more scams and yahoos than usual. And it actually rakes in more money per year than the healthcare industry these days. But that's a rabbit hole for a whole other episode. The American agricultural and food industries are huge to the point of impossible to fully understand. You can't really digest it. It is hard to overstate the amount of political power these bodies have and how the choices of shareholders affect your everyday life. Like, why is healthy food, quote unquote, healthy food, why is healthy food so expensive? Why is it hard to get? Why can I go to Walmart and buy, you know, canned deviled eggs for less than $1, but getting fresh vegetables at Whole Foods costs an arm and a leg? Why are eggs and meat so fucking expensive? Why does chicken taste worse now? This is something I've seen a lot on social media lately. Chicken tastes bad, worse than we remember it. Why is some land overused for commercial cattle farms and why is it illegal to collect your rainwater? Look it up. I ask these questions not to answer them here in this episode, maybe in a later one, but to illustrate that the answers can all be traced upstream to a hugely influential group of mega corporations that need you to add calories that are easy to produce, ship, sell, and that hold as little actual nutritional value as possible. I don't know, suffice to say that the system exists to make you miserable so that it can sell you the antidote to the misery that they made. I talked about this maybe a couple episodes ago, late last year. I talked about this, how the system thrives on how the only true capital is misery. Whatever, go listen to that episode. Two episodes ago, I can't remember what it is. Whatever. Anyways, chapter 3: How does fitness disrupt the system? The circumstances you find yourself in, living in and under the system, is not your fault. Take take heart in that. It was there before you were born and is the machine through which your continued existence is produced, processed, packaged, and extracted. Your health may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. The system knows this and will go to great lengths to keep you convinced otherwise. They want you to feel like the only answer is to buy something. I might have made that joke before. The solution is always to buy something, right? To click on that ad, to go to this place, to join this organization, to pay this monthly fee. When you are fit, you are more able to rely on yourself for preventative health care, for emergencies, for quality of life, etc. I'll dig into that a little bit more later on here. This self reliance really diminishes your reliance on the system, which is good for you, bad, obviously, for them. When pursuing fitness, you have a purpose, asterisk, a goal or outcome to pursue. Now, the privilege of purpose, so I have this thing, the privilege of purpose is a whole other idea that I would love to get into deeper on another show. I don't really want to do it. It's not like I don't have time. These episodes are always very short, but I just don't want to digress too far from here. Um, however, pursuing fitness as a quote unquote purpose is a double edged sword. It cuts both ways because the system thrives on convincing us that what we want is what we want rather than what we've been trained to follow, to believe we want. Nonetheless, the desire to improve your health and physical ability will be better for you than the desire to, say, buy the newest iPhone or make a viral post. It should be noted as well that chasing a certain physique can be a fraught objective, often entangled with the engineered values of the system, which are, by design, impossible to achieve and maintain. I'll address this later on. We have addressed this in previous posts, in previous episodes. I am happy to address it to death. If you want to talk more about it, hit me up, DM me, whatever. When you're socially healthy, you find connection and meaning with people in your life and community, not through the screen. There is no healthy parasocial relationship, not even with me. I love to make new friends though, so join the Discord, meet me, and other cool quest things on there. Hit me up on Instagram. So what I'm trying to say with that one is the the world town square, right? The internet's town square, what Twitter used to be. Now that it's X, that's dead. Or Reddit community, I would say like your Discord friends would probably straddle a line there between actual and parasocial relations. I mean, it's not parasocial; those are actual social relationships. But what I'm trying to say is like someone you can physically be near to. As human beings, as an animal, we've probably talked about this plenty of times. We are social animals. We need to exist in groups. We need to have interaction with each other. One of the greatest indicators of quality of life and quality of health is the number of and the depth of relationships you have with human beings. And it's not to say that a relationship you have mostly through text on a screen with someone isn't real, but it doesn't have the same benefits as one when you sit down at a table with someone and share a meal, or you are riding in the car together to do your errands. Just doing things with another human being is so beneficial in small ways. It's one of those things that feels like a weird, like you 5 years ago we'd call it a biohack, right? Biohacking is this, and it's not like a powder. So here we go. It's not like a powder that you buy that mixes all the vitamins and minerals you need into your orange juice every morning that you have to pay, $29.99 a month to have it shipped to your door. It's a biohack that like we are evolved to hang out with each other a lot, and like the health benefits of being around people who you like being around, even if it's just working out, watching a movie together, and then talking about that movie again, sharing a meal. I'm getting a little bit spicy here. Guys, having sex is really good for you. It's good for your health. You should do it. It's like just hang out with each other, guys. Don't I love you, listener, but what we may have is probably described as a parasocial relationship. Please talk to me in real life. Please talk to me in real life. Moving on, the food thing is obviously a hard beast to defeat. We've had so many conversations about the food and diet. We had a whole episode on diet culture. That was a really good one. We've had conversations about it in those episodes. I won't go too hard into it right now, but I do kind of want to try and bring a new take on it here that I've been thinking about lately. Let's think about let's frame food as economics really quick. When something is overly available, its perceived value is diminished. We're talking about inflation, essentially. The most basic form of wealth or currency in the animal kingdom, which we are a part of, is food. And it has been so wildly abundant to our species, specifically to us Americans, that our society barely considers it a wealth marker at all until something is dramatically wrong, either with the individual who is experiencing it or with the system as a whole. I'm talking about food insecurity or being overweight to the point of, you need to be on a podcast, you need to listen to my podcast about how to eat healthy, or like food insecurity to the point where if we look at other developed nations and they're having fucking food riots because no one's had anything to eat in like 4 days and like your child is starving and now the men on the trucks aren't giving you food, so everyone flips the fuck out and starts setting fires to fucking small businesses. Don't get it twisted though. I gotta move on to my notes. Don't get it twisted though. Food insecurity is a very real issue right now, right here in the United States. But because most of us have such an over availability of food, we have to worry about accidentally eating too much of it. We often forget about those who not only suffer the hunger in our own midst, but also our very unique place, not only in the animal kingdom, but in human history, as maybe the most overfed animals ever on the planet. Like, how much of human history, the big question has been, what's for dinner? The big question is, when do we eat? What can we eat? Where is my next meal coming from? What are my next calories going to be? Only very recently has a question been, how do I get fewer calories? How do I how do I not accidentally overeat? Like on a long term, if you look backwards at our ancestors and you look at the questions they had to ask versus the question we have to ask us, that is an insane thing to need to consider. Again, not that it's your fault, not that it's anyone's fault. This is the system that we live in. However, when you are intentional about your intake, your nutritional profile, where you source your food, your energy balances, etc., you are really wiggling out from under the influence of the system. And until we are able to harvest all of our own food or share a crop or go to farmers markets and do all the locally sourced things, the solar punk utopia vision that I watch way too many YouTube long form videos about, we have to settle for better being better than perfect within the system that we are subject and subjected to. Chapter 4: Pursuing fitness outside of the system's prescriptions. Now, as I mentioned previously, and you are likely aware as a listener of this show, the imagery we generally associate with fitness is just that. It's images, it's pictures of snatched waists and thick thighs and pumped glutes and impossible abs. It's pursed lips on tropical beaches with great hair and young skin. These are untruths, the package deal, the source and solution to your apparent need for physical health and vitality. Surely your life would be better if only you were, what? Skinny? Maybe. I won't pretend as though weight loss isn't a valuable and valid goal for some, maybe even most people who pursue fitness. The sticky question is why? Why should one lose weight? Is it to be more attractive to a potential mate? Is it to live longer and better? To avoid diseases like COPD or type 2 diabetes, or to fit into an airplane seat or on a theme park ride? All of these are solid, valid reasons. Pursue that. Do that. What we should defend against is pursuing that impossible image of fitness because we just think we should. I fall into this trap myself. This is something I need to deal with. I uh, I have this problem. I do a lot of my own fitness programming. I write my own workouts, my own long term goals, that sort of thing. And I'm guilty of what we call in the coaching industry program hopping. You'll find some program that says do these lifts in this order for this weight, and you'll have X result. And I say, wow, that sounds really cool. I'll write myself a program. I'll start doing that. Week and a half later, I'll see another program that promises something else that seems cool and interesting. I'll try and jump on that. This is something I did a lot in my 20s. I think a lot of people did this in their 20s if you were a gym rat. And it basically leads to you spinning your wheels and accomplishing nothing, but that's not really the point. The point is that I then, as now, enjoy the privilege of a above average level of physical fitness. My body operates better than most. I'm fairly strong. I have a good gas tank for endurance. I'm sore all the time, but that's because of how I decide to work out and how I use my body for fun. But I can move pain free. I don't have a disease. I don't have any lasting injuries, nothing like that. But nonetheless, I still see the images that the system feeds me. And I say, maybe if my shoulders were bigger, maybe if my, maybe if I had abs, spoiler alert, I'll never have abs. I've never had abs. I never will. Part of 85% of me has accepted that. There's still that 15% that says, well, maybe. But it happens to me too, guys. It happens to me too. And I need to, it's a constant wrestle with my own eyeballs, my own frontal lobes saying, wait, this isn't something that one, I can achieve, or two, I need to achieve, or three, that deep down I really even want to achieve. It's just something that I'm shown so often that I get that FOMO, that fear of missing out. Maybe there is something I'm not doing that I could be doing to get me this thing that I'm being told is valuable, a better body, whatever. Let's move on. Here are some possible reasons to get fit in today's world that are not a symptom of the system. Healthcare as we know it is disintegrating. Surprise! Your best medicine is preventative care, and exercise is perhaps the most powerful preventative medicine we have. And I don't want this to be like a soundbite that gets passed around the more aware circles of social media and be like a Joe Rogan or whatever and be like, you don't need vaccinations if you just squat heavy enough. That's not true. What I'm saying is that your body needs to move. Your body needs exercise. If it doesn't get it, you have more health issues than if you did. That's basically what I'm saying. Just like disclaimer, okay? I'm not a doctor, but most doctors will tell you exercise is good for you. Do more exercise. Don't do exercise because you were sick. Do exercise to continue being healthy. Building a robust physical self can lead to a more resilient internal self. This one is interesting. As you push and challenge yourself physically and surpass those challenges, other parts of your life become more manageable. Fun fact, this effect is the main reason I first got into fitness for myself. I talked a bit in the last episode about my experiences, my life with, gosh, we'll say very low self value, with very poor self esteem. And that really turned around in my 20s when I got really into working out. A big part of why I was so unhappy was because my my assumed and perceived value was based a lot in like my performance in school, which was always bad. It was never good. I'm not a good student. But for whatever reason, when in college I got into lifting, my grades improved as well. And I think that those things are related. I was able to balance my time better. Mentally, I was just so much more clear and focused when I was tired physically from the gym. And because I was able to do hard things and see results from the gym, you know, the line you can draw is like, well, then I can do that in other parts of my life too, like finishing this essay and taking this test and studying hard and talking to girls and searching for jobs and doing the hard thing for the sake of doing the hard thing. But yeah, that's another good reason to pursue fitness, to challenge yourself physically. Another really good reason is that you can control it. This has always been a big draw for the gym rat crowd, but we don't control very much of what happens in the world. We don't control very much of what happens in our own lives, if we're very honest with ourselves. But in the gym, in your session, in your own goddamned body and muscles and bones and fingers and toes, you have control. You say what moves, what stays, and how hard it's going to be. You get to decide. Not me, not the system, not the fucking president. You decide if you lift that kettlebell or not. You should lift that kettlebell though. Being able. This is a big one that really keeps me coming back to fitness. Being able, the part of fitness that is somehow the least talked about throughout the industry, and I have a lot of thoughts on this, is being able to operate in stressful conditions. And I don't mean that doing calf raises makes it easier when your boss is mean to you. I mean that being able to walk for miles while carrying heavy shit, pushing and pulling down obstacles, and holding your own in a physical confrontation are all things that being strong and resilient make you better prepared for. It's called survival of the fittest for a reason. You are better prepared for things. Each of us are only one natural disaster away from total community collapse. Look at California. Will you be able to haul your kids overland when your area is deemed unsafe but the roads are blocked? Could you dig out your neighbor's yard and yours after a heinous blizzard so that emergency services can access your homes? If some pack of shit stains at the grocery store throws up the quote Roman salute and one of them grabs your daughter, could you do anything about it? These are things that having a robust physical fitness may not be the answer to, but it's definitely going to help. And these are the things I think about when I'm in there pushing myself. When I'm trying to die in the gym and I come out alive on the other end, I'm better prepared for these situations. Now, fitness is sold in many packages. Sometimes it's a big box gym, like LA Fitness or whatever. Sometimes it's a smaller boutique or studio experience, like where I work and train at Soda Fitness. Sometimes it's a cardio dance class or a unique rowing machine and medicine ball combination experience, whatever. The good news is that almost anything can be fitness, and because of that, you don't need anything specific. Obviously, I have my own thoughts and biases on this, but that's probably going to be another episode completely. You should want and pursue the betterment of your faculties. It is worth making a priority, if only because the system wants you sick, slow, sad, and stupid. When you actively pursue health, vitality, joy, and knowledge, you are actively participating in the rebellion, my friends. So, what is the next best move? If you're already on your journey, continue unabated. Lean into your strengths and see how you can leverage it to help others on our side. If you need to start, or have to start over again, reach out. I'm happy to guide fellow fitness rebels, especially new ones, and have many resources available for free, and obviously, coaching services are available. What more can I say? Probably lots. Probably lots more because I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind here, but at least I think I'm in good company. It seems like everyone I know feels kind of the same way. I'd like to close out with an affirmation. I affirm and manifest the following for you. May you have the strength to be gentle and the courage to be kind. Keep questing. This has been the RF Fitness Podcast. Yes, I am available for online coaching. To find out if it's right for you, head to rffitness.net. That's rfitness.net, and then scroll all the way to the bottom of that page to see what kind of coaching I offer. You should do the client application and hit join the party to jump into our community Discord server for free. Our theme music is Funk AF by Everet Almond, distributed by YouTube Studios. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.